Bespoke jitter charts, a radial jitter bar chart. And this is what it looks like, folks. Now, bringing together all of the techniques we've done so far in terms of point placement, in terms of applying the jitter technique, in terms of applying geometry and trigonometric functions, we are going to build step by step this amazing jitter radial bar chart. So, I hope you're ready because this is going to be quite interesting and hopefully you'll pick up a lot of things in this lesson. So to get started, let's open up Tableau desktop. Let's start by loading our Superstore data source. Let's click on Microsoft Excel. Double click the Superstore. Now let's drag orders, as we always do, into our query pane. Look at the data, make sure that it has loaded correctly. And once we're happy, let's click on sheet 1. Now for some controls, I'm going to create two parameters. The first one, parameter, I'm going to create is going to be called thickness. And I'm going to set that by default to 0. Actually, let's leave it as 1. You'll see what I mean in a moment. The second parameter, I'm going to call it degrees. I'm going to set the type to integer and default this to 270. Let's click OK. Now we're doing well so far. I'm going to create a calculated field because we're going to be drawing circles. Let's create an index -1. And now let's create our x and y calculation. For our x, it will be sine, radians, index. Let's click OK. For our y, we have cos, radians, index. Now I say we get straight to it and let's get started. So let's take x and drop it into columns. Let's take y and drop that into rows. Let's take region and drop that into color. So now we have 4 regions in. Let's take product name and drop it into details. The last step is to right click on X, go to compute using, select product name. We can then do the same for Y. So you see, this is the first step, is that we've brought in our index calculations, we've built our circular shapes, we're going to have a little bit more fun, but now let's apply this to our data set. Now that we have our frame, let's apply it to our data set. So let's create a new calculated field called TC cells. I'm sure you've done this so many times now that you could probably do this in your sleep. For Windows sum of cells, let's click OK. Let's duplicate this. Let's rename TC cells copy. Let's rename this to total cells. Let's create a percentage. As always, I love creating a percentage. And we're going to call this TC percentage, TC cells divided by TC total cells. Now this is where we deviate slightly. We are going to create a TC step size. We've done this before, but this is going to have a slight twist. We are going to take the percentage divided by the maximum TC percentage, and we are going to multiply this by degrees. Let's click OK. What I want us to do now is to incorporate this into our x and y. So let's edit our x. Now typically we've done multiply, but this time I want you to use the modulo function. TC step size. Let's click OK. How cool was that? Let's do the same for y. Modulo DC step size. Click OK. As you can see, we now have this 270 degrees. And don't worry, we are going to build up upon this even more. So as we've done many times before, we will create a new calculated field and we will call this TC rank. We are going to put an index here. We are going to use the function and not a reference to our previously created calculated field. Now we are going to have some fun. Right click on X, click on Edit. We are going to multiply this now by window max DC rank. Let's click OK. We are going to do the same with Y. We are going to multiply brackets window max DC rank. Let's click OK. As you can see, nothing's happened yet because we need to modify the table calculation setting. So right click on X, go to table calculations. Let's find our rank, specific dimensions and region. That has come together now. Now let's right click on Y, go to edit table calculations, specific dimension and region. You see, we're now building this out. Why not at the same time start modifying our other calculations or other nested calculations? So let's go to total cells as we've done many times. We don't want a reset. So let's tick region. The same goes for step size. Let's tick on the regions. Let's right click on X and do the same thing. As you can see, things have now adjusted itself. We're getting very close to our final product. What I want us to do now is right click on region, go to sort, and now I want us to sort by field, and let's say our typical sum of cells. Voila! Now, as you can probably imagine, we haven't applied one thing yet. Have a guess what we need to do now. What we need to do is right click on X, go to edit, and as well as positioning, we want to plus the random function. Let's click apply. Okay. Let's edit our Y calculated field, as well as multiplying by the rank to get it a level up. We are going to also add to this the random function. And here we have it. This looks pretty good right now. So we're going to try to bring thickness into play. But what I want us to do is create a new calculated field. I'm going to call this random. And here we are going to type random multiply by thickness. Nice and simple. Let's click apply and OK. We are now going to edit our X and our Y. So instead of using this random function directly, we are going to reference a random calculation. I'm now going to apply that to the Y. Let's click apply. Now, if we edit the thickness, let's show that parameter, we can see what impact this has. So if we change this to 0.7, you can see we've now created the ability to have base. Same as degrees, if we show the parameter, we can modify this to be 180 degrees. Let's go back to 270. I personally like 0.7 because it gives a bit of space between each. But now it's just a matter of modifying our cosmetics. So let's do this by first taking cells and dropping that onto size. Let's click on color, turn this 80%. I know it's a habit for me. Let's change the mark type to circle. Let's increase the size just a tad bit. We can now hide the headers since we don't need them anymore. We can rename our sheet the Jitter Radial Bar Chart. What I want us to do now is to right click on the canvas, click on Format. We can now remove our grid lines, our zero lines, and also our axis rulers. And last but not least, we can take order date, drag it into filter. Let's filter by year. Select 2020. And now let's show this filter so we can have a little bit of fun. Let's edit the filter so it takes a single value list. Let's go to Format and enable animations. Let's see if there's any fun that we can have with this. It might not be much, but at least it's something. Now let's change the year. Now you have to admit this is a pretty cool effect. It's not just cool, but if you look at 2017, we can see the points. Let's increase the size. And here we have it. We've now combined our various techniques to create a jitter effect for our radial bar chart. Well, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope you enjoy this section on using the jitter technique to create various bespoke data visualizations, and look forward to seeing you in the next section.